I think for the ILP members, the Martin Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship offers a unique opportunity. My background, having worked at IBM for 11 years, and we have a lot of other people who've worked in large companies, how do you connect that? How do you connect that to this dynamic world that's out there today? Who's going to provide the connective tissue between it? And believe me, I've been in the meetings where I've had people just say, Twitter is just, it's just a fad. There's nothing, it makes no sense. And I can argue back with data that shows, no, it helps a business. And for you not to play in it, you're going to be left behind. Much like, Kodak saying digital cameras, digital photography will not work. It'll never be as good. That's the benefit that we have. I like to say we're dual citizens. We're part of the corporate world, plus we're part of this young dynamic world, and we are the connective tissue between both. It's very, very interesting. We've seen an explosion in two areas: in students' interest in entrepreneurship, and in companies interested in understanding how they can be more innovative and entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial. And so companies are very interested to know what makes these students so innovative. Can we replicate that in our organization? Is it the architecture? Is it the people? Is it the culture? What is it that's preventing us? So we have now a program called a corporate sponsorship program for the center, where we talk to them about that. We introduce them to teams that are in their area, and it does a few things. It broadens their scope, their aperture, opens the aperture as to what's possible. Some of the ideas they think are crazy at first. Like there was one of our students did airborne wind turbines, up in the air. And people said, that's a crazy idea. But the more it looked at it, the more it became, that's actually a very viable idea. But even if it happened to be a crazy idea, it's great that they open the aperture to see the possibilities. I worked at IBM for 11 plus years, and you start to really get in a routine when you're in a large company where your aperture gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is not just true in large companies. I mean, when you look at physics, almost all the great discoveries were made by people who were under 21 years of age. So it's very good to deal with young people and to see all the crazy ideas they have, because it really opens you up to possibilities that you would never understand otherwise. Most of the people at the center, day in, day out, come from the 5 different schools at MIT. The biggest representation at our center is from the engineering school and the School of Management, but it's students. And that's what makes, I feel like I have the best job in the world. I get to see these dynamic students coming up with new ideas, and just trying to keep up with them keeps me young. And I think that's what companies appreciate. They love seeing these new ideas. How are you using tablet computing right now? That's a very interesting thing. A lot of us look at it and say, oh, is it a laptop or is it a mobile phone? Actually, it's both and it's neither. It's a whole new breed. How do you harness that in your company? What does it mean? And these students are unencumbered with the history, the past, so they can come up with all kinds of new applications that we didn't think about because we have a mental model. They said Henry Ford, you couldn't ask the customer what they thought about a car, because if they asked the customer, they said they wanted a faster horse and buggy. And a lot of times that's what happens with companies, is I want a faster horse and buggy, when there's all this new technology out here that's just incredible. I mean, when I started in the early 1980s in the computer industry, we were selling computers for millions of dollars. And today, I carry around in my pocket a computer that's more powerful than that. Plus, it's much easier to use. The interface is something that anyone can use. A 2-year-old child can use it. Plus, it's always connected. We have only begun to harness that. But we need these young people who just aren't burdened with some of the ways of thinking of the past as to what's possible with it. And that's what you see today. We have corporate sponsors that do who participate in the ILP, and then they also participate in our corporate sponsorship program. And then for a set amount of money, we talk to them on a regular basis. We introduce them to our companies. We have meetings. We invite them to our events. You know, two companies that are involved in it right now are 3M and GDF Suez. And they're both good ILP members, and it's been an additional opportunity for them to get involved deeply in things like the MIT Clean Energy Prize, where it's a win-win for them and the students. The students love the interaction as to what's real, and the companies love to see what the students are doing. And so the students kind of meld their product to fit into the infrastructure, because they're not going to recreate the whole energy infrastructure that GDF Suez has. And GDF Suez is very interested to see what these talented young people are thinking about. So it's a win-win between the companies.